Alright, I'm not sure if this is actually recording correctly. I've changed my audio setup again because I wasn't quite happy with that microphone I was using, but I think it might have been the application I'm using, which is very frustrating. The differences between Windows and Mac are really sort of becoming like splitting hairs at this point, but there are things I definitely like about Mac and things I definitely like about Windows, and those two things do not exist on either platform. And things like this are one of the issues. There are scores of applications that would make recording off of my camera extremely simple, but then it would cause problems on the other side of, that wall, like if I went all Windows again. Anyway, welcome back to I'm Okay Ma, to my mother and to all mothers that happen to be wandering by. Happy Memorial Day. I've recorded this one like 8 times because I wasn't quite happy with, things, that I was talking about, or I was babbling too much, or, I didn't like the way that, showing off the game stuff worked. I'm probably going to take that game footage and make a separate video for that because it's crazy how that can get very long very fast. Like even I did one with the Harrier landing, and that didn't take quite as long. Like when I say not quite as long, like 15 minutes, and there's a lot I'm going to cut out of it. But even just, and then I did another one to show you what it's like to start up an A10. And that one is, almost hit the max of the camera, which is 30 minutes. So, that's not really going to, that's not everyone's going to be into that sort of thing. But you asked about it, so I'm going to probably put it in as a separate video, as opposed to making this video an hour long. So you asked a couple of questions. You asked, first let's talk about my week a little bit. So it's Memorial Day, and this last week was Management Week, which we do about once a quarter, where all the mostly managers and area staff have the option to come into the office. Managers and stuff have to come to the office. There are leadership meetings and strategy talks and stuff. There's really not a lot that comes out of it, and in fact, I get far less done during Management Week, which is frustrating because my department is understaffed, and so I'm always sort of working. It's like the fact that I can boot up that computer back there and play my little flying game is like a new thing that I've had to force myself to reincorporate into my life because I haven't been doing things that allow me to really relax, and doing that sort of thing is very meditative, especially when you're learning a new jet. Like I just got the F4 just came out, which I'm very excited about, and I just got that, and it's super different than anything that's come before it, and also although I have a lot of Cold War era planes in there, including the Harrier and the F5. But I never really spent a lot with the exception of the Harrier, never spent a lot of time really, really learning them. And this is like the first one that I just really want to know it. I really want it because it's complicated and it's fast, and the F4 is famous. And, and as a kid, it was like, it's the quintessential fighter jet. If you think fighter jet, you're thinking of an F4. So I've got that going for me. But yeah, and between, like you can see behind me on this, that's my work table because I work out of my house mostly. And so those servers should have been installed in our data center last week. Couldn't do it. So now I have to do it this next week. It's just a mess. And it's, and what's worse is like if there was something useful coming out of it, it would make more sense. At least I would feel like I got something back, but I don't feel like I get the stuff back. So it becomes a nuisance. And that I live so close also becomes a nuisance because I really have no excuse not to go. Although I make excuses to leave early all the time. But I can do that. I'll play your little game, but okay, now it's time to get real work done. So you had some questions here. One of them was about what it was like to fly, and which I'll show you. Where are your questions? Could you show me? I'd like to, also, your protocol is for your daily regimen in providing how you care for yourself mentally, bodily, and spiritually. Well, I'll take those in a different order. Bodily, I need to get back on the wagon. It's really easy to fall off the wagon when it comes to working out and stuff. And a lot of that was due to the chaos of moving back downstairs. So things are almost in shape where I can probably on the next episode take you through the basement and show you what's what. I took time to set up a real workout place. Like I laid down plywood. It's all carpeted down here. So I laid down plywood and then I put a workout floor on top of that. And then I put my heavy bag on top of that. But there's enough space there that I can do my weight workouts and not so much the high intensity stuff because that gym floor is like 24-inch jigsaw puzzles basically, and they come together at the edge and they're really not that strong. But the floor itself is amazing. Every time I step on it, it's exciting, the idea that I'm going to be boxing on that floor. It's got some give to it, so it's really great on my ankles and stuff. Not that I have ankle problems, I really don't. But anyway, I've got to get back into it. I have not been sedentary. I've definitely been keeping busy. And now with this, the spring and summer and stuff, I've had to mow the lawn like twice a week at this point because it's just growing like crazy. We haven't gotten any cicadas in this place. Not one. Like Nick, we're going to see Nick and his family later today. His house is covered in cicadas. Anything south of I don't know. Like even Dad has cicadas and he's like in Lombard. So south of North Avenue. I know Naperville got hit really big. We haven't had a single one. And I really was looking forward to them. I'm hoping that it's just a matter of time. They did say it could take into June, so maybe I'm just being impatient. And when you talk to people and figure out where they live, it's definitely coming from the south and heading north. So and the dogs are fascinated with the smells coming out of the ground. I mean, they just want to sit there and just smell the ground because they think they can smell, the bugs, which is kind of weird. I did go to Dad's house. We had a huge windstorm roll through here. I went to Dad's house to help him out with a branch that had fallen. Just checking that I was really recording. I've been doing that lately. We're okay. So I brought a chainsaw over, and he had trees and stuff full of cicadas, and they're just cool. So I was, letting one crawl around. And so one got into the extension cord. I had to get him out. Not that I was playing with them. But, really neat looking. So, anyway, that's bodily. Mentally, what were your other questions? Mentally and spiritually. Mentally, I'm doing stuff all the time. I'm always learning. So I always have to be learning something. And the big challenge I have for myself right now is figuring out what system I'm going to use to funnel all that knowledge. There are a lot of applications that came out during COVID. There was a boom in, maybe not a boom, but I got myself involved in a boom of people trying to build these personal knowledge management systems. And there are, a bunch of different applications out there. And it's, I had shiny thing disease or something. I don't know what it's called. But basically, one would come, it's like my fight between Mac and Apple, right? But one would come out and would be able to do these things. Another one would come and be able to do these things. And one comes out, it's like more of a toolkit, and you build your own things with it and stuff. And so I tried all of them, but I tried all of them with new data. It's not like I had a data set that I kept moving around to see, which is probably what I should have done. So now I'm stuck with 10 applications that this one has this little bit of data and this one has this little bit. And what I really need to do is settle on a single one, understanding that not one is going to be able to do everything I want it to do, unless I figure out how to, create software, which at this point I really don't have time. But I am learning white hat hacker techniques because I need to use that for work, but also it's a good thing professionally for me to understand. I am learning about the compliance world where it comes to software as a medical device and information security compliance because I handle the information security compliance work at our work. And I am learning street art street sketching, I guess, where people can very quickly sort of sketch out a thing. and have it look like the thing, even though it's not like this exact drawing. It's more impressionistic, and then trying to figure out how to apply watercolor to that and stuff. I did a little bit of that, very little. I didn't have near as much time as I thought I would on that cruise, because I bought all kinds of stuff and little pencil, holders and stuff like that, and journals like this. Like this is called a traveler's journal, where I could have like sketch paper and ruler guides and stuff and folder systems, and which I love that journal, but it just wasn't time. On a cruise, everything is planned out. So really, if I want to do something like that, because I thought that, okay, we're taking these excursions and I'll have time to just sit on a beach and draw whatever. And instead of doing that, I took some pretty cool photography. So I brought the little street camera that I picked up for the trip. So yeah, I'm always doing something like that. And, I don't think I could ever get away with not doing. I'm not a sit in front of the TV guy. Although I end up there, I am always doing something else. I let the TV be background noise, and I'm researching or playing with these applications or figuring out like reading the manual for the manual for the F4 that I was talking about is 900 pages. That's crazy. Okay, spiritually. I'm not sure what I do necessarily. I meditate. I do make a point of making quiet time for myself so that I can get introspective and examine my day, that sort of thing, and do meditation on sort of the world in general. I'm not a religious guy. I know that you are. And I know we've had this conversation before, but, that's just not where my calling is. I think it was funny because I recorded this once, and then the first, I just turned back to my computer and pulled up my browser, and YouTube happened to be up on it. And the first video that came up was Adam Savage, who was part of the Mythbusters, takes questions. Like, he has a whole channel of building costumes and effects stuff and that sort of thing. And I love it. But he does videos where it's like 10 or 15 minutes. He'll just answer questions from people submitting questions. And one of the questions was, is Adam Savage an atheist? And he said, which was like the perfect way I was trying to distill it in the first time that I recorded this video. He said that he is a Christian atheist or something like that, where he doesn't necessarily believe in religion, but he believes in the messages of religion, and he tries to be Christ-like without necessarily following the dictates of what's, written in the Bible. And I have 1,000 reasons why I'm the same exact way. But I thought it was really, really interesting that I had just struggled through trying to come up with that answer. And there it was, like the very first thing that I saw. So, I think life, the way I approach life is that it's extremely precious, and not any abortion rights, from an abortion rights standpoint. Very different opinion on when life starts there, but maybe not from you, but from people that claim that a biblical explanation for it. But I know time is limited, and so it's important that we do care about the people around us and the planet around us, and to be good custodians and to be able to pass something on that has value to the generations that come next. Because we haven't obviously done a very good job of that, if you believe the science of it. But so yeah, I don't know. That's what I do, and I still am very much a citizen of nature, and so I, take special notice of when animals will interact with me and stuff, because that happens a lot. And, that's sort of where I take my messages from. It's very sort of a naturalistic religion, I guess, if you want to look at it that way. I find very satisfying. It's, walking the dogs, where I'm able to walk through, we have a little pond in the front that I've taken pictures of, and I love, as we pass that every day, because that's our afternoon side of the walk, I love watching how that sort of develops, because they've stopped dumping chemicals into it to kill mosquitoes, and whether intentional or not, have allowed this thing to sort of grow naturally. So this year, it's been like a breeding ground for frogs, which, we're walking by it one day and you see all these little blips in the water and stuff, and it's like big tadpole tails like flip in the water, and we walk the dogs up close to the edge and you see them like stream off into the middle of and it's a tiny pond, tiny. I wouldn't even call it a pond. I don't know what it is. And there's a little colony of dragonflies that has grown up now and, buzzes around there. And then lately, last couple of days, is like, I don't know if it's a baby, but it's like a heron that's very small. This is blue heron that has been hanging out there, I assume, to eat the tadpoles. And it's starting to grow a little, grass and stuff like that. But it's, there's a baby bunny that is taking up residence in our backyard that I'm trying to find so I can get him out of here. The dogs actually killed a rabbit a couple of weeks ago. That was pretty sad to have to deal with. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much, I don't know, that's pretty much it in a nutshell. Kids are doing good. Jimmy's actually going in for bariatric surgery where they're doing a stomach reduction. He's just gotten, the biology of him has gone over to, where, and it's like any addiction, right? Where the reason it's a disease is when, at the point where it stops being a choice and it starts being a biological need, because your body refuses to produce the chemicals that get supplied by whatever is the source of the addiction. Food is the same way. So he is too far over into that world where he's starting to get fatty liver disease and all the complications that come from extreme weight gain. And this is sort of his way, through that. So he's starting on his liquid diet tomorrow, and then I think 3 weeks out. It's been a month of doctor's appointments and psychology appointments, and it's really pretty impressive the way they build this whole process around even that. So I don't know, it's been pretty amazing, and I just hope that I hope he goes through that as he goes through it and sees a change in himself, that he starts to treat his life a little more seriously, which has been my problem all along. That's like everything else. He's done that. At first it was laziness, and then it was manipulation, and then it became like it passed over into this biological need thing where he's so far down that hole that he has no idea how to get out. So, the one thing that worries me is he does not seem to understand, and I already know that, like counseling probably needs to be his bag for the next couple of years while he regrows those muscles of looking at his life from an objective standpoint. What do I want to change? Where do I want to be in 5 years? All those adult things. He's going to be 27, and he's still taking advantage of his alcoholic mom, who's going to drink herself to death in 5 years. I seriously have no doubt of that. She's just not a responsible person, and she doesn't care. Her parents have passed on, and she is just going to self-destruct, and that's terrible. But the most terrible part of that is that she's roped him in with these, dysfunctional, psychological codependency bits of bullshit, which is very frustrating to watch. And he uses that as an excuse all the time. Can't get a job. It used to be, I can't get a job because I'm taking care of grandpa as he was in hospice. Can't get a job because I'm taking care of the grandparents, or taking care of grandma now. And then they're gone, and then it's like, oh, I can't leave the house because of mom, and, just craziness. To the point where Lori has almost, not given him, but her car basically lives with him so that he always has that option, which on one side is probably enabling a little bit. On the other side, it's like there's no other lifeline, right? What else is he going to do? He's not going to put himself on the bus. So that's been very, very frustrating. Allie, I think, is, age appropriate. She is, the interesting thing about Allie is that she's so financially successful that I almost want to say she's missing out. I don't know, it sounds really weird, but like, I don't know. I think she makes like 70 a year, maybe 60 a year. Even so, I didn't make $60,000 until well into my 30s. And I can't remember what job that would have been. I think when I first made a director, I think I made 80. And that was 2004 or something like that. And it has not always been, the trend has not always gone up. There was an unemployment period in there, which was pretty bad. And then I had to take a far lower, salary and then build myself back up. But for her to be so high at 24, I think that sets up a weird view of the world, almost as if like she doesn't. There's almost this attitude that like she doesn't have to try, like she doesn't have to pay her dues, and she doesn't like what she does. She doesn't like the industry she's in. It's very much a male dominated. It's the audio industry, very male dominated, and also one of those industries where there's just not a lot of respect between managers and employees. The communication method in that industry is yelling, which is, completely dysfunctional. And it's very high pressure and, it's all about numbers and I think she does well, but I think she's also losing patience for it. However, she needs to start laying that groundwork now to give herself an off-ramp. She has some safety net living here, and she understands that. But she's, it's still not an excuse to put herself in any kind of jeopardy. So she loves the space industry. Her dream is to work at NASA or SpaceX or something like that. But, I also haven't seen her crack a math book. I mean, I guess it depends on what she wants to do. And there are certainly other jobs in those worlds that don't require you to be an engineer. But that also takes a lot of going after it, which I haven't necessarily seen yet. But, she's got time. I mean, on the scale of things, it's very weird to consider that there's one who's doing, well, she wants to do better with her life, and one who's not, hasn't moved out of the starting gate. So that's the dichotomy. And Lori's, doing okay. She started entering the perimenopausal world, I think, and so things are really weird. And I just try to remind myself of that a lot of what's going on now may not be like conscious choices on her part, but it's been weird, been a little disconnected, and yeah, I understand. I understand. Not that I want to go out and buy a sports car and get a 20-year-old girlfriend or something, but I get the mid-age crisis, when kids are sort of off doing their own thing, and I understand it. I understand why someone would go, put themselves through that. And, even personally, like existentially, it's weird for me to think, oh shit, I'm 53, And I think about, things I want to do and, things I want to learn. Like I want to get back into piano and stuff like that again, and I have a spot for it right on that wall. And then I think, well, I'm 53. What am I going to accomplish? Then I think well, that's bullshit. I shouldn't, shit on myself for that. But I just think about all the time that I had, and obviously I ended up in a good place, but holy shit that I didn't have to. I put myself through, pretty terrible circumstances to get here, and what the longest way around I think, one could possibly take. It taught me a lot, but yeah, it wasn't too much fun. Whatever, but I don't know. I don't know. It's just really weird. It's weird. Like, I just learned about the new generation name or something. Maybe it's not even new. It's not Gen Z. It's the one that's after it. I can't remember what it's called. But the idea that that's like 3 generations later from Gen X, like my generation. is, that's my crisis. Like figuring that, not that I understand that some guys approach that and they think, oh, I can feel younger by surrounding myself, by pretending I'm younger and being with younger people and doing younger things like driving, ridiculous cars and that kind of thing. And that's not my urge. I think my urge is to get introspective and self-analytical and try to sort of piece together my own story so that I don't leave behind, so that I keep holding on to what's important and pushing that forward and then pushing forward my progress. When I talk about getting, back into the physicality of working out and stuff, I mean, I have real goals, and like there are things I want to see in the mirror. And even if I am 53, there's no reason biologically or physically that I can't achieve like a 6-pack, which is, what I'm looking for. I'm just way too heavy right now. But all those like 3 years of boxing and working out, that muscle is still there. I mean, I still have, if I move right, I can see the left side of my abs. So yeah, it's really just about, I'm also toying around with the idea of auditioning for Survivor. I don't think it'll go anywhere. They probably get swamped, but you never know. We'll see. So yeah, that's where I'm going to leave you today. Well, that was a long one. I may chop that up a little bit. But yeah, I hope you have a happy Memorial Day. Love to Brian, and we'll talk to you soon.